South Dodge Elementary School Data Overview by Jennifer Lee. The introduction and the purpose. South Dodge Elementary is a K-5 school. The intended audience is for the school improvement team and the school administrators at South Dodge. Today's date is July 13th. The purpose of this presentation is to provide the stakeholders of South Dodge Elementary an overview analysis of all types of data and define the next steps according to what the data reveals. A little bit about South Dodge Elementary. It is one of two K-5 elementary schools in the district. One is located in the south end of the county and one at the north end of the county. All students at South Dodge receive free lunches. It is a Title I school. They have 2 administrators. They have 1 principal and 1 vice principal. The total enrollment data right now at South Dodge is 849, but as you can see in this chart, the enrollment has decreased each year for the last 4 years. We started at 963 in 2016, and we're down 114 students this year. But we see this in all the schools across our system, not just at South Dodge. If you look at the enrollment data by race and ethnicity, you can see that the black or not of Hispanic origin and the white not of Hispanic origin or about 50-50. There's a little more white students than black, but the large races we have are white and black. We have a few Hispanics, a few other Asian, Native, Pacific Islanders. Enrollment data by economic status. As I said earlier, we're completely a free lunch school. So whatever the enrollment is our economic status. We're 100% economically disadvantaged at South Dodge. If you look at the ELL data, you can see that from each year, we're increasing the number of students we have in ELL. But remember, our enrollment is going down, but yet our ELL students are going up, so that percentage is growing. If you look at our students with a disability data, our numbers have actually decreased. We have less students with a disability in 2019 than we did in 2016, 140 to 132. But remember, our enrollment has went down, so percentage we're staying about the same. Enrollment by gifted education. I think you'll see the biggest change here. You see in 2016 we had 70, and then this last school year we had 34. The reason for that is there has been a change in the gifted education program at South Dodge. Requirements have been changed to get into the gifted program, and also the way they're serving these students, it's just now at a higher grade level so that they can focus on rigor in the testing grade levels. Our attendance data is really good. This is one of our strengths. You can see the attendance has gotten better over the last 4 years. This is due to a focus on attendance all across the system, and especially at South Dodge. If you look at our teacher data for gender, race, and ethnicity, I put North and South side by side since they're 2 elementary schools that are identical. One is just at one end of the county and one is at the other. They both have 58 certified employees, and then if you look how it's broken down, if you look at the race of black, South Dodge actually has twice as many black teachers at North Dodge, which I think is a plus. There's 6 versus 3. And then the other races, you have 52 white teachers at South Dodge, and you have 3 males. If you look at our teacher data, I actually split it over 2 slides because it's a lot of data. But for teachers with 0 to 10 years of experience, you'll notice they have their T4 or higher certificates, which I think is great. They're all highly qualified teachers. If you look at the teacher data now for the 11 to 21 plus years of experience, again, they're all highly qualified teachers. If you look at the T4 and above, all teachers have either a T4, the majority have T4s, some have T5 at 19, very close to the T4s at 20, and then 16, and then 1 with a doctorate. When you look at our discipline data, I was a little thrown off by the numbers as I started studying this. As you can see, they changed drastically in the years. The total number of incidents, 2016 there was 551, and then dropped down drastically to 145 in 2017, 271 in 2018, and 402 in 2019. I reached out to the MTSS or RTI coordinator, which also does behavior at South Dodge. And in the last few years, they've adopted PBIS, which is a positive behavior intervention solution. And they've also started a new discipline database. So there are more incidents being recorded than previous years. And so that's one of the reasons the data has changed over the years, the last 4 years, is because how it's being recorded and the training of the teachers. Now we're going to dive into the student achievement data at South Dodge. I focused on grades 3 through 5 instead of trying to do K through 5. That was a lot of data to look at. So we're going to focus at 3 through 5, which is our state mandated testing grades. Let's look at last year's state report card. As you can see, South Dodge received an F at 59.1. This number was hard to see and hard to swallow for many of us at Dodge County. And as you see over the years, last year we were at a C, and then we've had D's in the years past, but also put in a chart to compare South Dodge to Georgia and to the county. And as you can see, South Dodge is in the red, and again, red shows that we're falling short against the state, which is in blue, and the district, which is in orange. So we're below the state average, but that gives us room for growth. On this slide, you see the ELA end of grade milestone data. As you see, for the red and the gold, that's representing the students that scored 1 and 2. And you do not want your students scoring 1, 2. The majority you want is 3 and 4. And that would be the green and the yellow at the end. And that's where we need to see an increase. So we're going to break it down a little bit further in the next slide. On this screen, you see how I have broken down the percentage of students we have at beginning learner stage, to the developing learner, which is a 2, proficient, which is a 3, and a distinguished, which is a 4. I've also compared it from 2017, 2018, and 2019, and then to our RESA and our state. Our RESA is a 10 county district area that is all in the heart of Georgia RESA area, so we're comparing to the counties right beside us. But as you can see, we're still falling behind. Let's look at 2019 last year. You see that for 3rd grade, we were at 10% for 10 distinguished learners, where RESA was at 11 and the state was at 14. So we're still falling behind in that distinguished area. And proficient learners, if you look there, I see we're at 14% for 3rd grade at 2019, and 26 for the state, 26 for RESA, excuse me, and 28 for the state. So we're still falling behind. And as you look through the data, you see that every once in a while we are a little higher than the state, but not consecutively. We need to look at why are we falling short, and where do we need to focus, and that's what we're going to look at with some of the next data. Let's take a minute to look at the 2020 CCRPI data for South Dodge. As you see, I've put down a down arrow because sadly we were falling behind the state in content mastery, in progress, in closing gaps, and in readiness. The next screen I'm going to show you the closing gaps, because if you can see, the state percentage was 73.8 and we were 18.2. So let's look at that a little more in depth. On this slide, this is the closing gaps, and as you see in the color red, that indicates a flag that we're falling behind, and you see we have a lot of red flags. But one thing that I do see that is we're consistent, and depending on race, we're pretty much falling behind. So I don't think one subgroup is not receiving what they need. As a whole, as a school, we're falling behind. On this slide, we're looking at ELA and specifically reading within that ELA domain. If you look at the first chart with the red and black, it says reading versus writing on the GMA's Georgia Milestones in 2019. As you can see, the black is indicating they scored either a 3 or a 4, which is distinguished and proficient. But then the red is indicating that they read on grade level. The grade level came from taking the STAR test and Renaissance Learning to see if students are scoring on grade level, can read on grade level. But as you see, currently 2 out of 3 students are reading on grade level or above, but they were unable to pass the milestone assessment due to writing deficiencies. So that shows there's a disconnect. Students may be reading at grade level, but they're not comprehending or cannot do those higher order thinking skills. Let's look at our strengths. I know we've just looked at a lot of achievement data for ELA and for math, and we may be a little alarmed by those data that we're seeing, but let's remember what we do have going for us at South. The school climate was 95.9, which is really good. We have a good school climate. We have a great family atmosphere. The teachers have good rapport with their students, with their parents. And then also our attendance is good. The student attendance, students are coming to school, they're ready to learn. We've just got to meet their needs where they're at. We have a very highly qualified staff. All teachers are certified in the area that they're teaching. We're going to use those experiences and that education to help our students better learn. Let's discuss some of the data that we've seen and maybe some possible next steps. As we discovered, the ELA and the math scores are below district, RESA, and state average. We see in the graphs for the last 4 years, the number of proficient distinguished learners, they need to increase. We're barely making it with some number 2 scores, but we need 3s and 4s. Current changes in the gifted program hope to increase the number of proficient and distinguished learners. After speaking with the gifted teachers, the administrators, and the curriculum director, they are have new content, they have new standard-based curriculum that they're using, and they're also not only just serving the gifted students, they're now serving high achievers, which helps to increase those proficient and distinguished learner numbers. A new math curriculum was adopted last year. The math curriculum has changed twice in the last 3 years, and after talking with administrators, leaders, and some teachers, they feel that's part of the weakness in the math area is there's not been a consistency in curriculum. So we have a new curriculum director that's focusing on getting that new curriculum in there and keeping it and training our teachers to be proficient in teaching it. Phonics was added to the K2 ELA curriculum to increase, hopefully, our readers, what they're reading and their comprehension. One thing we need to do is focus on what can be addressed, which is curriculum instruction. An excuse you hear often is, well, all of our kids are economically disadvantaged. They are, but there's not anything we can do about that, so let's focus on what we can do, which is looking at our curriculum and instruction. More training on teaching ELA, specifically reading comprehension and writing, needs to be given to our teachers so that they can lead our students to read and comprehend what they're reading better and to write. And of course, we need more higher order thinking skills and more rigor in the classroom. This will increase those students that can barely make a 2 on the milestone to increase them to a 3 and a 4. So South Dodge, where do we go from here? We've seen the data, we see what it's telling us. I think your main focus needs to be increase your rigor. If you increase your rigor in the classroom, students will start using those higher order thinking skills. So when it comes to that milestone at the end of the year, it won't be so abstract. They'll be used to those deeper comprehension paragraphs and those readings and writing. That'll help in the ELA. It also is going to help in your math. There's a lot of written parts in the math now, and that increased rigor is going to help that. The focus, of course, in ELA needs to be your reading comprehension and writing. The data shows that. And then in math, let's focus on our fluency and mastering the curriculum that you have now so that our students can master the math standards that they need to for each grade level.